Hello buddy and welcome, I'm Commodore Cam, and thanks to some trading cards in China, we have a better look at the CGI models of Transformers 1 characters. Now we don't have every character in Transformers 1, because if we did, then this video would be enormous. I'm fairly certain there's well over 200 character designs in this movie. I mean, it's set on Cybertron, you're going to have a lot of characters, right? So yeah, this isn't going to be a ranking video, because it won't be that much of a ranking. I really do like all of these designs. Now for those who are concerned about spoilers, I will be talking about small story details, but not that much. It's mostly talking about designs. These trading cards could be considered spoilers, if you just want to be left surprised, then don't watch this video. Before we begin, I just want to say I've launched a brand new series on this channel called the Transformers Kill Count. Inspired by Dead Meat, I'll be watching every Transformers movie and tallying up the kills, while also giving you behind the scenes trivia and skits. It's my passion project, and the 2007 live action movie has just gone up. So if you want more Transformers after this, be sure to check it out. So let's start off with Orion Pax. We have his 3 stages throughout the film. Now I have just done an updated Optimus Prime tier list, so if you want to hear my extended thoughts, you can check that video out. The only thing I really want to comment on when it comes to these is the yellow. So if you've not seen already, the Studio Series Optimus Prime Deluxe class has this sort of yellowy gold on it. And I gotta be honest, when I first saw it, I wasn't a fan of it. It just looked like the figure's been out in the sun for too long. You know, I thought it was bad plastic quality, but it turns out it was accurate to how it was supposed to have originally looked in the film. So I imagine halfway through development, they decided to change it to silver just because it looked better. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because it makes sense now why the Studio Series looks that way. But let's move on to D16/Megatron. Now I did do an updated tier list on Megatron. I guess I could have elaborated a bit more on his final design. I won't mention it just for the sake of spoilers, but when we finally get Megatron in his red eye form, you know, we can see the subtle changes in his design compared to when he first gets his cog from Alpha Trion. And I think it looks really cool, really badass. The chest and shoulders have changed. They're no longer round, they're very sharp edged. I love how the inner part of his helmet is so close in with his mouth as well. I hope he doesn't have any difficulty eating Energon cubes. I want to actually talk about Elita 1 and B127 simultaneously, because I have done an updated tier list on Elita 1. Bumblebee 1 is coming, I guess not anytime soon because that video is still fairly fresh. I could have really timed that video a lot better. But Elita 1 I already talked about with Lala Leader. It's just gone up and it's a really good video. She goes into so much detail about Elita's design. She gives me so much insight. She's a real pro at the Elita lore. So yeah, definitely check that out. She gives some really good insight and we have a lot of fun talking about this new design. But when it comes to B127, I gotta be honest, it's not my favourite design out of our 4 main bots. His cogless mode is fine, it's supposed to be devoid of life, even though he's full of it. But when it comes to his cog mode, his head design doesn't change, his chest design just reminds me of B127 from the Bumblebee movie, which is fine, I like that design, but I was just kind of hoping for something a little bit different, that's all. But, it's Bumblebee, you know, he's never gonna change. Now let's talk about some juicy designs, the gorgeous looking Seeker designs, also known as the High Guard. We have Starscream, Skywarp, Thundercracker, Slipstream, and Redwing. Now I want to talk about Skywarp to begin with just because of his face design. I love that he doesn't have a mouth. You know, all the other Seekers have a mouth, but he doesn't. I guess that's just a design choice just to make him stand out just so much more. And you'll notice with these Seeker designs, they all have a unique chest, which is good. I was kind of well, it was expected that they'd have the same chest design, just because that's what we've grown so accustomed to, you know, in any continuity that these Seekers appear in. But no, they went out of their way to make them all look different, especially in their jet modes, and I really appreciate that. That's just something refreshing, to finally have Seekers that actually differentiate from each other. It just makes them stand out a bit more. I can't really pick a favourite one, because they're all really good, you know what I mean? I really like all of these Tetrajet designs. Skywarp is interesting because he's got a mouth plate instead of an actual mouth. You know, he's got maybe it's a battle mask, but we never actually see him with a mouth in the film, so I don't know. But Thundercracker is probably the one that's closest to Starscream, but the chest is still different in small ways. I like Thundercracker's design a lot. I love those colors. It just looks so good on this design. But Slipstream is also a pleasant surprise. You know, a lot of people were skeptical on the film, going, why is there not a lot of female Transformers? And there's loads. You just have to look carefully. And Slipstream here, one of my favorites. Loved playing as her in the War for Cybertron game that came out in 2010 by Hamm Studios, and it's good to see more love from Slipstream. You know, from Transformers Animated to War for Cybertron to now debuting in a movie. It's just fantastic. And Red Wing as well, an obscure character that's just basically a generic Seeker from the original cartoon, now get their time to shine. I could be wrong, I think Red Wing is a female Transformer. Regardless, it doesn't matter. It looks so badass, so cool. I really do like this design. I'm glad we've got so much variety when it comes to the Seekers. When it comes to Starscream's design, I love it. You know, I'm going to elaborate a lot more when it comes to my updated Starscream tier list, which will be coming out probably in the next like 2 months or so. I really want that to be a big video, and the timing's just perfect, so stay tuned for that. Now let's talk about some Autobots. We have Sideswipe, and we have him in his cogless mode and his eventual cog mode. So this is what I was saying about potential spoilers. We do see some of these minor bots eventually get their cog mode. Yeah, this is G1 Sideswipe from the get-go, you know, just slightly altered to look more Cybertronian, which I guess in some ways some people could have an issue with, because, you know, they really want unique Cybertronian modes. They don't want him to look so closely to their Earth modes, which is why I think Bumblebee, the Cybertron scene, really did a good job with mixing that, you know, with Generation 1 aesthetics there, but still at the same time doing enough to make him Cybertronian. I think Transformers 1 still succeeds in that. But like I mentioned, Sideswipe very much looks close to his Earth mode, but still, he looks so cool, man. He just looks so cool. Getting a Sideswipe design like this in a big movie is just, it's just awesome. I really love it. Now we gotta talk about some cogless bots. We have Brawn and Hound, and these are nice. I mean, like I said, these are not supposed to be full of life yet. And it's good to see that Brawn and Hound just made it into the film. You know, Hound is not big and bulky, or was that just all of his gear? I mean, maybe he could have showed up and sounded like John Goodman, but I'm kind of glad he didn't. But yeah, now we do see Brawn in his cog mode at the end of the film, but it's like a blink or you'll miss it kind of situation. I mean, all of these bots get their cogs, it's just that we don't really see them because there's just so much in the background. Now let's talk about some Decepticons, and we'll talk about ones that we see in their alt modes as well, Shockwave and Soundwave. I love these designs so much. I love the lankiness, but then it's like made up with the bulky shoulders and that, and the chest, the detailing is just so incredible. And I love how their eye color as well is very much like the toy, the original G1 toy, but then the cartoon, you know, would change them. Shockwave still had a yellow eye, yes, but in some media Shockwave has had a red eye. Now I have no preference. I think yellow or red eye is cool, but it's good to see that they started off, because they're not a part of a faction yet. They're just part of a high guard. They're not part of a Decepticon crew, you know, they don't become Decepticons yet, so I'm glad that they have more of the G1 toy style to them instead of, you know, the traditional cartoon colours that we see. But regardless, Soundwave's alt mode, it gives some justice to that Bumblebee movie studio series figure, because when the Bumblebee Cybertronian scene was made, they did not intend to have alt modes for them. So Hasbro, when they were making the toys, they just had to come up with the idea for themselves. You know, Shockwave was a tank and Soundwave was this hover thing. But I really like this. I liked how it was utilized in the film. Like, we actually get to see it in action. Okay, now let's talk about Sentinel Prime's crew. We'll start off with Sentinel Prime himself. And wow, this just, it gives me Deathsaurus kind of vibes, but it just works for Sentinel Prime. The blue, of course, striking back to Transformers Animated. Of course, personality-wise, somewhat similar, but not that too much. I really do like this design. It looks really cool. It just works for the film. It gets the message across of who this character is. And he's actually powerful. You know, we can see him there with his battle mask. You know, the toy has also done a good job of showing him in when he is full-on warrior mode. And yeah, it was great to see him in action in the film. Now, when it comes to Arachnid, her design is really interesting. Not so much her robot mode, but actually her vehicle mode itself. It's such a unique looking Cybertronian mode. It's like a helicopter merged with... I mean, I don't know if that's a thing. It's something unique. It's obviously paying close homage to her first design. Arachnid in Transformers Prime was a weird looking helicopter to begin with, but still, I really do like this. And having her as Sentinel Prime's sort of second in command was probably a good fit, because she is really terrifying in the film. Just her design alone is terrifying, and I think her vehicle mode as well is a tribute to that. I mean, to be honest, I'm just glad we're seeing Arachnid again, and I hope that other Transformers Prime characters can come back in a big way, like Knockout. I hope to see him in the next film. Now let's talk about the Death Trackers, which is part of Sentinel Prime's crew. We have the basic one, and we have the silver one, and then the gold one. It's just a higher up of ranking. I actually thought these were going to be called Vehicons, but I guess not. I guess that has a purpose for another film, and maybe Megatron will take these and make them Vehicons. Who knows? Optimus Prime lore has creeped into this film, and I'm not surprised. Of course they're going to take inspiration from that. It's one of the most successful Transformers shows. It's the most well loved as well, so any kind of reference and homage to that is much appreciated. Okay, now let's talk about other characters. We talk about the Quintessons. This kind of enters spoiler territory, but I won't elaborate so much. It's just good to get a better look at these designs, if you know what I mean. Their appearance in the film was all but brief, and I just didn't expect that they'd be on these trading cards, to be honest. I mean, we've got toys of them in the main line, so yeah, you know, they're going to get a little bit of love, but creepy looking designs, that's for sure. I'm a big fan of the Soldier and the High Command, actually. I think the Soldier looks really, really cool. That face design is, ooh, that's an ugly design right there. Really nice. Now let's talk about some Autobots, and the rest of them are going to be Autobots until we talk about the Primes. Jazz. Yay, Jazz. It's so good to say that. It's been since 2007 since we've had Jazz. Just let that sink in. I was just a young lad when that film came out. And now look at me. I'm 26 and I get to see Jazz again. Let's just hope he doesn't get ripped apart in the sequels. Yeah, so we have him in his cogless mode, and then we have him with a cog. Now, this is what I was bringing up to earlier about looking very much like an Earth design than much of a Cybertronian design. They could have just used the Cybertronian Jazz mode from G1 as a chest. But I guess, you know, because it's very brief in the film, they just kind of wanted to make fans smile, and they succeeded. I mean, logic, sometimes you just got to get that out of your head and just enjoy it. And that's what I was doing. I was just enjoying seeing Jazz get his cog and surviving the film. So yeah, Jazz looks really badass, really cool. I cannot wait for the studio series. I have no doubt that they will make studio series of these designs. But I'll be very curious what they do with Ironhide. So we have Ironhide in his cogless mode, and we also have him in his cog mode. His design is essentially the Bumblebee movie design. And are they really going to redo that toy twice? They'll probably change it aesthetically, but I was kind of hoping for something a little bit different. That's all. Just for toy purposes only. Film-wise, it was so cool seeing this. I was so happy. But then a part of my mind is just like, hang on a minute. Are Hasbro just going to re-release that toy from the Bumblebee movie? Or are they going to just make it the same but aesthetically different? I don't know. But I love his head design change. I love how that's just grown and evolved, you know? And his color red has actually changed as well. It's much more of a darkery, I guess, almost orangey kind of thing. And then it just goes bright red. So he has a full-on glow up. He just looks like such a young lad, and then he just grows up so fast. Now for more cogless only bots, we have Sunstreaker and Wheeljack. Looking really, really cool. I'm glad that we got Wheeljack's head design. I'm not going to bring it up. I still have love for Pablo in some capacity, but let me just say, it was just so good to see Wheeljack's face looking like that again. It's just a unique robot design, that's all. That's really all it is. And it belongs in a Transformers movie, in my opinion. Maybe if we saw Sunstreaker get his cog, he would have had the extended sort of fins. His head design probably would have gone much bigger. I hope so anyway. But he's very identical to Cogless Sideswipe. And considering they're known as to be brothers, it makes sense. Now moving on to Prowl, let me just say, I'm glad we're getting Prowl in a Transformers movie again. Like the last time we saw this dude was in the '86 movie, and he died. Yeah, that was the last time we saw Prowl in the movies. But no, yeah, we didn't get to see him in his cog mode. I imagine there would have been some sort of difficulty on how do we make this look less like a police car if we're going to pay tribute to that design. But still, there's a lot of opportunities to expand this in the sequels. And, you know, these characters are just background characters, really. You know, they're not center stage like our 4 main bots. But still, you know, hopefully he'll have more to shine in the sequels as for the rest of these other characters as well. Now moving on to some female bots, we'll talk about the minor bots. We have Firestar, Moonracer, and RC. Now RC seems to share that sort of bronze look that Orion Pax originally had, but that wasn't in the film, so she must have switched as well to silver. I like RC, she looks really cool, very similar of course to how she was in the Bumblebee Cybertron movie, so I guess they didn't want to change too much because they already did such a great job with that film. But when it comes to Moonracer and Firestar, I'm just glad to see these gals again, you know what I mean? A lot of people were curious if this was Nightshade. As we can see from the text, it is Moonracer, one of the original classic female bots from the G1 cartoon, and Firestar as well. I just love that head design. I love all of their head designs. They look so cool, you know. I just hope we get to see them in the sequel. And speaking of which, one of the main highlights in the film was during the Iacon race, the Iacon 5000 was it? And a lot of people assumed this was Blur or Mirage, and well, it's Chromia, and there we have it. One of my favorite female Transformers is actually Chromia. Yeah, she's really cool, really badass. I kind of wish there was a bit more on that chest, but the vehicle mode that we get to see here looks really nice. She's got the stickers slapped all over her. It's good to actually see Transformers that could transform. We don't get to see an awful lot of their designs because obviously it's a race, so they're just going by so fast. Maybe we'll get extended profile cards of them in the near future, because you know the story is mainly focused on the minor bots, the ones who can't transform, but when it comes to the Transformers who can actually transform, they're not really highlighted as much, which is supposed to be the whole point of the story. But it was good to see Chromia get her time to shine in that race. But yeah, that's it guys, that's it for the main regular bots, you know. But when it comes to the 13 primes, okay, now we've got a lot to talk about here. Let's start off with Zeta Prime, who looks very similar to his Warthus Cybertron design. Now, this side shot of Zeta Prime really creeps me out. He has got such a dense, he's got no nose. I mean, it looks like he's got a nose, but it looks like he's got no nose. He's got no chin either. Yeah, the guy's very narrow looking. But regardless, I like how he looks. His body mode looks really, really cool. I like that homage to, of course, Warthus Cybertron. What I also like as well is the character design of Primer. Wow, what a such a iconic head silhouette that is, you know. Of course, very similar to eventually Optimus Prime. I like this. I like the all white and gold. It slaps so well. Some of the primes have a good mix of colors, you know, compared to each other. But Vector Prime, on the other hand, I kind of wish he had his Cybertron colors. You know what I mean? I am not a fan of this white and gold on him, just because we've just seen it on Primer Prime. So yeah, I was kind of hoping for a little bit of difference there. There have been some fan edits on Twitter/X that have done that correctly, which just looks cool. No dig on anyone who animated this. The model looks very cool. It's basically just Cybertron Vector Prime. It's just the colors. I don't know, there's just something missing from that. You know, the personality's kind of missing. But there's plenty of personality on Solus Prime. She looks absolutely badass. That hammer, it's very much just like how she was in the Align continuity and the Prime Wars trilogy. Really cool, really nice. I like that mix of goldish yellow with the purple. Really nice. She really stands out really well. She's a striking design. Not so much of a striking, well, it is a striking design, but Alchemist Prime is a bizarre one. He's had bizarre designs, you know, it's supposed to be bizarre, but this to me, I gotta say guys, I just don't vibe with it all that much. I like that it's unique and different, but for me, I don't know, I kind of would have liked a head. Once again, we've got that yellow and silver mix, and not a mix of other colours. Probably add blue on there, or light blue or something. But at least Nexus Prime is 10 times better. His head actually reminds me of Blitzwing for some reason. But I like his shield and his gun, really, really nice. Not much to say, really. You know, I was just asking for blue, and we've got blue. Nice blue and yellow. I would have liked to see what this guy transforms into. But for my Cronus Prime, he just looks like, I don't know, he looks like a hobbit. He looks like a character from the Lord of the Rings or something. The mace looks really cool. Not that I'm saying that's a bad thing, I'm just pointing that out. He just looks, I know he actually looks like a character from World of Warcraft. I'm just pulling out all the references here. Yeah, he's got a very bulky, very round sort of shape. You know, you can tell this is a small dude with just a lot of bulk on him. Quintus Prime, not that much different from the Aligned continuity, you know. Pretty cool design actually, very faithful, very true to that Aligned continuity, and I really do like that design as well. It's a bizarre, weird design, but it's supposed to be, especially with those extra arms as well. Really, really cool. I wonder what the connection is specifically from Quintus to the Quintessons, because as we know in the Aligned continuity, Quintus Prime created the Quintessons, so does that apply the same for the Transformers 1 movie. How does that work? How does Quintus feel about that? I've got a feeling that they're gonna stay kind of true to the line continuity, so I won't be surprised if the story is the same there. Optimus Prime. Okay. I do like the green and yellow. There's a lot of yellow on these guys, you notice. Almost, yeah, I think there's yellow on every single one, except for, I guess, no, there's pretty much yellow, except for Alpha Trion, of course, but yeah, all these characters seem to have a yellow aspect to them. Vector Prime has more orange, but yeah, the yellow is pretty consistent with these guys. I do like this. I think it looks really, really cool. The head design is kind of freaky as well, which is unique. I like that it's unique. Alpha Trion, who we get to see in the film a lot more of. Very rusted, of course. He's very corroded. You know, he is one of the last surviving members of the Primes. A lot of people don't like his sort of beast mode. I dig it. I like it. Of course, we don't get to see the rest of these Primes as vehicle modes or alt modes, unfortunately. But we get to see Alpha Trions, and, you know, it's fun power of the Primes, right, or something. I'm pretty sure this is not the first time Alpha Trion's turned into a beast. Some people vibe with it, some people don't. You know, Alpha Trion's never had an alt mode. He never had an alt mode from the beginning, so, you know, we've got to think of something that's probably creative and new, and that's what we went with. You know, I'm kind of hoping that the Studio Series covers all the Primes, because I would love a toy of Megatronus. That helmet looks so cool. I love how knight-like he looks. He's proper sharp around the edges. Really, really cool. And that giant-ass staff as well. Yeah, that helmet is... When we get to see D16, you know, actually look at the Megatronus's head, you can just see how massive these guys are. They're absolutely massive. And pretty fresh design as well of Megatronus. We've never actually seen that head design quite look like that before in previous media. Megatronus's design out of all of the Primes has been a lot more flexible, a lot more creative, a bit more different compared to the rest that have remained fairly consistent. But yeah, Onyx Prime, another creepy looking design, but I really, really like. I like his head design, it really sticks out a lot. His wings as well. Wow, he just looks like a praying mantis or something. Yeah, he looks like a mantis with those legs or something. Really creepy, really weird. I like it. Once again, with the blue and yellow, these guys, these colours, they're pretty consistent with each other. Liege Maximo, kind of like the Loki of the Transformers Primes. You know, it's kind of interesting that his design is not green, yeah, because that's his colour in the line continuity. Once again, they're sticking with this yellow and silverness. Whether or not these trading cards have got these colours wrong, whether or not they actually look like this, and there was just like, oh, we don't actually have any official final colour design, so just slap whatever you want on these trading cards and get them out quick kind of vibe. Plus, these trading cards have been proven that that's how they started off, but how they actually looked in the films, of course, very different. Like Optimus Prime, for example, Orion Pax, you know, his colours weren't quite as accurate as they were to the final film. But still, I just would have loved the green on Liege Maximo. The Liege Maximo name sounds like it should have green in it. I don't know, am I going crazy? Probably. But there we have it, guys. They are the Primes. A very cool looking bunch, very much a funky bunch. But still, regardless, despite their limited screen time, it was still cool to see them. And to say that these characters have a brief appearance, they really went all out with the detail. Even, you know, some could argue that, oh, they didn't have to, but that's the skill and beauty of animators and filmmakers, you know. It doesn't matter how long or how limited the screen time is, they're going to go that extra way to give us that insane detail. I just realised I forgot Darkwing's trading card. Yeah, he's not going to be happy about that. I mean, I hate this dude. If you've watched the film, you know. I hate this dude. But I do like his design. It's pretty cool. I'm glad that Darkwing got his time to shine on the big screen, even if we all collectively hate him. And there we have it, guys. They are the trading cards for Transformers 1. They are currently exclusive only to China, but here's hoping they get released around the world. If you want to watch more content on this channel, then I highly recommend you check out my Transformers kill count, where I'll be watching every Transformers movie and tallying up the kills, with behind the scenes trivia and funny skits. And I start off with the 2007 live action movie. So be sure to check that out, and if you haven't already, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and click that notification bell to get all updates instantly. Until the next video, I've been Common and Cam, and goodbye.